ladies and gentlemen, Oscar Award winner Christopher Walken. Mr. Walken. Good afternoon. Today I have the pleasure of talking with an actor I have admired for decades in film, television, stage, and a music video or two. An actor who always offers surprises, intrigue, and as Don Quixote said, some measure of grace. Ah. Most people know him from his many film roles in movies such as his Oscar-winning performance in Deer Hunter or his Oscar-nominated role as the con-man father in Catch Me If You Can. Other of his... Hold your applause, there are a lot of films. Other of his films include Next Stop Greenwich Village, Annie Hall, Heaven's Gate, The Dead Zone, A View to a Kill, Biloxi Blues, Batman Returns, Pulp Fiction, The Prophecy, Pennies from Heaven, Sleepy Hollow, Wedding Crashers, Hairspray, and most recently, The Last Quartet, Lovely. And earlier this month, Stand-Up Guys with Al Pacino and Alan Arkin. True Love. And there's others, we'll get to them. On TV, he spanned the medium's entire history, performing as a child actor starting in 1953. As a youth in the early days of soap opera, The Guiding Light, as an adult actor in primetime series such as Kojak and Hawaii Five-0, then later earning awards for his performance in Sarah, Plain and Tall, and of course as a frequent and popular guest on Saturday Night Live. And, of course, there's the music videos he's appeared in, most notably Fatboy Slim's Weapon of Choice, where his dancing skills all but explode on camera. I saw Mr. Walken on stage as Chance Wayne in a legendary 1975 production of Tennessee Williams' Sweet Bird of Youth with Irene Worth on Broadway, one of many of his New York theater performances that include David Rabe's Hurly Burly, James Joyce's Did the Dead, and more recently, a behanding in Spokane, for which he received a Tony Award nomination. Closer to home, he has performed in Shaw's The Philanderer and The Caligula in the late 70s and early 80s at EO Rep. More appropriate for today's conversation, Mr. Walken performed at the former American Shakespeare Theater here in Stratford, in Hamlet, and in Henry IV, Part 1. So, welcome home, Christopher Walken.
Thank you.
Let's start with the local color. In 1982, you arrived in Stratford to play leading roles in what was to be the final season of the theater, playing Hamlet and Hotspur and Henry IV, directed by Peter Cole. Also in that company were Ann Baxter, Roy Dotrice, Fred Gwynne, Stephen Lang, Chris Sarandon, and Mary Wicks.
Yep.
What brought you here to the American Shakespeare Theater to begin with?
Well, in fact, this lady,
hello,
Helen Mencken, who I knew briefly, and I was in a play on Broadway called The Lion in Winter. Before it was a movie, and it was in New York. I played the King of France. She came and she said, well, you should come up to Stratford. And I met her at that time. And I happened to live in Connecticut. So it was real nice.
What did she say about the theater? And
but she said, she told me that she was pretty much in charge, I think.
I think so, too.
And she said, you should come and be part of this. And I did.
Did she, did she actually say, and I think you should do Hamlet?
No. It was just, check it out.
Check it out. Hamlet, the offer for the idea of doing Hamlet, as well as Henry, came a little bit later.
Well, Peter Coe, the director, had done a reading of Hamlet and that I did, and he said, "Well, let's do it for real." And he also was directing the Henry IV, and asked me to play Hotspur, and so I spent the whole summer at Stratford, and commuted to where I live.
What was it like in 1982? It was actually it was the final season, I believe, of the.
No, I don't
theater.
think anybody knew that.
So there wasn't sense of that in the
No,
air.
I think that was a surprise. It was to me, anyway. They had done some very successful shows. Christopher Plummer and James Earl Jones had done Othello, I think, the year before, and I don't think they knew it was done.
How was Hamlet? How was your Hamlet?
I wasn't good.
You wasn't good?
No, I wasn't.
Now, Paul Giamatti is going to be doing Hamlet down the road here in Yale Rep.
There's as many. They say that there's as many Hamlets as there are good actors to play Hamlet, but I wasn't good, and I wasn't good as Romeo either.
Why not?
I don't know.
In a way, did this mark your return to the stage? You've always done stage movies, but there was you were so busy in the early 80s doing Pennies from Heaven and Dogs of War and Heaven's Gate that I think this came right after that. So it was a little bit.
It was
of a
around the
return.
same time.
Yeah.
Yes, and but it was a great time, and the Stratford Theatre is very important, you know. And I was there today earlier, and I'm glad to see that. You know, it's obviously built of good stuff. It still looks good.
Good bones.
Yeah, it's good bones, and I was afraid that it was going to look decrepit, you know, and run down, but not at all. You know, the thing about the Stratford Theatre is it's a really big place, and I'm not sure that they ever took advantage of that in terms of it being. Really, you know, when you stand on that stage, it's like being in the Winter Garden. Yeah. It's a big theater. It's just built from musicals and opera and, you know, and concerts, all sorts of music, jazz, rock. It looks like it'd be a great place for a one-man show. You know, you can see Billy Crystal in there or something.
Well, actually, I was thinking about doing a spectacular Follies, especially.
Yeah.
It's so decrepit now inside. Nice, but decrepit, which applies to a lot of us.
And this bust was in the lobby when I worked there. Yeah, it was right in the lobby.
Perhaps a Shakespearean epic with ghosts coming out of the walls.
Absolutely. You know, big stuff with music, I think would be perfectly suited for it. And you know, it's closer than New Haven. When I did musicals, I was in the chorus of musicals when I was a kid, and in those days they used to try out, and it was always Boston, New Haven, Philadelphia, sometimes Washington, but this is closer. Yeah. And it's a great big musical house, you know, the stuff that they do at Goodspeed and so forth.
Actually,
they could easily do here.
Actually, Michael Bennett tried out ballroom here with
really?
Dorothy Loudon before he went to New York.
Oh, no, it makes sense.
So, because it has very, like you said, it was very similar to the Winter Garden, that sense of space.
Big place, yeah. You know, seems built for music.
If I can leap from Stratford to your earliest days, you were born Ronald Walken, named after actor Ronald Colman, in Astoria, Queens, the son of a German father and a Scottish mother.
Right.
You're both who lived healthy, long lives.
Really?
Your mother passed away at what age?
You know, they were over 100.
103, I believe.
Yep. And actually, I think they just decided, to go because they, they, they didn't have to. I think they just got tired.
So we can see like at least 30 or more years of
I
doing
hope so.
films.
You have to, have to be careful.
Yeah. Your father, Paul Walken, owned and operated the Walken's Bakery in Astoria. Yep. But you were never destined for the baker's life.
No, but I did work there,
Yeah.
and I have two brothers, and we all worked there from time to time, delivering cakes and cleaning up and stuff. But my brothers and I were in show business right away from the time we were little kids. In those days, television was really being born.
Before we go to TV, didn't you make your professional debut at 14 months, naked, as a baby,
Oh, yeah,
posing with two cats
it's true.
on a calendar?
In those days, there was this lady who was very famous. She was a Constance Bannister, and they were called the Constance Bannister babies. And she had photographs of kids, mostly calendars, and they'd have a caption. There'd be a little kid, and it would say, "When's lunch?" And I was one of those.
And your co-stars in this photo shoot were two cats?
Well, there were cats, there were everything.
Well, I just thought it may have carried over to your performance in Puss in Boots or
I did Puss in Boots.
Catwoman.
It's one of my best efforts. And I still have a lot of cats. I love cats.
Your father was a tremendous worker, and I was wondering if that type of work ethic and that kind of insatiable pull to work hard brushed off on you.
Sure.
And your need to always, work.
Yes. My father was the hardest working person I met. But he did that because he really loved it. He had a bakery, and he was there 7 days a week. He loved it. That was his thing. And I think that's right.
When did the idea of acting, enter into your life? Was it because of these early excursions into those early days of TV? Or was it even before when you were watching movies or...
Well, I lived in Queens, which was really a 10-minute subway ride from, Midtown Manhattan.